Control. Air Pollution Control Board, today on February 12th. Thank you for everyone coming. If you could please have a roll call.
Okay. Board Member Bennett. Board Member Blatz.
Here.
Board Member Edmonds.
Here.
Board Member Huber.
Here.
Board Member Parks. Here. Board Member Pollock.
Here.
Board Member Ramirez. Board Member Rollins.
Here.
Board Member Zaragoza.
Here.
Chair Long.
Here. Thank you.
Please follow me. Put your hand right over his heart and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to our ceremony swearing in. Mr. Villegas, who will be leading that? Oh, you are. Jessica, thank you very much.
Jessica in charge.
Okay, we have Jessica in charge today.
Thank you. Yes, please.
If everyone could stand up, please, that's being sworn in. Mrs. Parks.
And raise your right hand. And please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Ross,
Do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you to all of our city representatives for being here today. It's a pleasure to be working with you. Now we're moving on to the nomination elections of the chair and vice chair for our Pollution Control District Board for the directors of 2019.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate, I believe, Councilmember Ramirez as our vice chair right now. Am I correct in that?
And I had heard that she would actually prefer it be Councilmember Pollock. Is that correct? That's accurate.
I was.
So I would ask
Yes.
that we go ahead.
So, I'm fine with that. So Councilmember Pollock and and Supervisor Zaragoza as vice chair.
Second. And, okay.
Would you accept?
Yeah, I talked to Carmen earlier, and I do accept.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
saying that.
I'll second.
Okay, so Supervisor Zaragoza. Are
And-
there
and-
any other
and
nominations on the floor?
And Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Supervisor Bennett for the standing committee.
I'll second that.
All right. You don't even have that
don't
on
have
the
standing committee
agenda
on
for
there
that one, but
We should separate.
It'll be
those
later.
motions,
but I love that you're teeing that up already. It's fabulous. That is a great thing. So we have the motion to approve David Pollock as the chair and Supervisor John Zaragoza as the vice chair. Jessica, do we want a roll call or can we do the unanimous vote? Okay. Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Motion is approved, and I will gladly turn it now over to the meeting to Mr. Pollock.
Oh, you're making us move?
Yeah, no, you could stay right there.
Oh, you're just changing the time. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
just changing our titles.
All right, and thank you, Kelly, for doing such a great job this past year, and happy birthday as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, we're on item 6 of our agenda, which is minutes of the meeting held Tuesday, December 11, 2018. And
before we continue, my understanding is that we're going to have a new attorney, Jacqueline, is that correct? Good. Can you go ahead and share that?
Jacqueline, would you like to or introduce yourself? Or?
Oh, yeah, and yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff Barnes. I guess I'm still the current APCD counsel. It's been such a pleasure working with you all, and I've learned so much, and you're such a great group. It's such a great organization. Jacqueline Smith in my office is going to be taking over. She's literally right next door from me, so I'll still be in the loop as well.
So she watched on TV the good work that you did, and she learned from there.
It's nice to meet everyone, and I look forward to working with you.
Welcome, Jess.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right, so we're on item number 6 on our agenda for the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of December 11?
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay, so we have approval with 1 abstention by Supervisor Huber. Item 7, agenda review. Any revisions to these items?
Bless you.
Okay. I do want to point out that on item, sorry, where I forgot to mark it here. We have one item with, no, I believe it's item number 15, where it involves the Ventura Unified School District. I'm sorry, it's item 16. It involves the Ventura Unified School District. I will need to excuse myself from that discussion because I'm on retainer with a company that may be doing business with them. But if there's no other changes, we'll move on to item 8, public comment. Do we have any public speakers? No.
Oh, consider and approve. So we need.
Jessica, you weren't expecting a motion on item 7, were you? Yeah.
Have an item 8.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so I have 2 speaker cards. We'll start with Russell Sidney. Russ?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Russell Sidney. I'm a scientist trained in economic development and the agricultural ties between us and our biosphere. You recently received 2 emails from me asking for you to prioritize the changing needs for controlling our emissions, particularly greenhouse gases. I've been working for 15 years to help people reduce greenhouse gases through sustainable transportation, specifically with electric vehicles and bicycles. The urgency of my concerns comes from watching a column of smoke and fire work its way toward my Miramonte home in 2017. Thanks to our first responders, it stopped 6 blocks away from my home. It also came within 4 blocks of my previous home in Santa Paula. Then I stood by and watched the second fire in the Santa Monica Mountains destroy the precious places where I spent my time as a youth. This has become personal and more urgent as a result of this. Adding to that, the 10 hottest years since 1880 have been the last 10 years in our country. 2018 will be known as the year when the facts, the science, and the suffering made this situation clear. The urgency to act apparent. It's clear these things are the result of trapping an increased amount of heat in our biosphere. The heat is being trapped by continually increasing levels of greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases are produced as the unintended consequence of our using of resources. The consequences are from burning fossil fuels and how we live our lives, how we make our living, and how we run our economy. The problem is created one person at a time, one business at a time, one agency at a time. The solution is to change one person, one business, and one agency at a time. Dealing with these changes can create local jobs, help keep money in the county, and even bring more money into our economy. It can enhance our quality of life while shifting to a more sustainable community. Renewable energy is already on track to do these things, and more can be done. Gill's Onions in Oxnard has shown how to create energy from waste, which can save money. More can be done in the ag sector and bring carbon credit income to our farmers. Our waste management system can do more along these lines as well. Switching to alternative, renewable energy fuels like electricity for our vehicles has huge potential. Biogas from our landfills is on its way with more to be done. The California Air Resources Board and other state, federal agencies are making funds available to deal with these challenges, including recent changes in the Carl Moyer program. That money will help boost our local economy as well. I asked the board to provide the direction, guidance, and leadership to take on these challenges within our county. The Ventura County APCD is about to change, and it is the logical agency to be guided by elected officials based on new priorities. The agency can also spread your guidance and priorities about greenhouse gases throughout the county government. It is the agency that can best access state and federal money and other resources that can help shift the unintended consequences that are impacting our area. That will only happen with your leadership. I also ask Mr. Villegas to provide one more service in addition to his efforts we appreciate so much with the criteria pollutants, and to help with building on the solid foundation that he has created for the APCD. The request is for his support to create the new priorities and to help us incorporate dealing with greenhouse gases into the APCD. We also need his help to remove any resistance to dealing with the changes that are being thrust upon us by greenhouse gases. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Sidney. Our second speaker is Kevin Tohill.
Good afternoon, board members, APC staff, and my neighbors. My name is Kevin Tohill, and I live in Simi Valley, next to the C.L. Barnett oil facility. I'm here today to ask for guidance on how to get the facility inspected. It's been over 18 months since the last inspection, which unfortunately was scheduled for last year and canceled, and no new date has been set. So I'm here asking for what are the options and guidance you could give us on how to perform an inspection at this facility. If we work together, get something on the books, I'm here to help and do anything I can on my part to help as well. So please continue to support us in this issue. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. And have you talked to Mr. Villegas about this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's all our public speakers, so we'll move on to item 9, which is board comments.
And Chair, for the information for the board, the gentleman's property is in Simi Valley, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from board members?
I would just say welcome to the board, all the members. Thank you very much for representing your cities. We'll have some great issues. Mike Villegas is here until his retirement in August. And so just so that you know, we'll be looking at the interview process and so forth. So it's a great time for our board, but also a sad time for our board. So thank you.
And what Supervisor Long is referring to, that we have 3 new city members on our board, and this would be a good opportunity for you to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name. Now I got that. Yeah, my name is Rich Rollins. I've been recently elected to the Port Hueneme City Council. I lived in the city of Port Hueneme for 10 years. And before that, I worked for 35 years in various different cities, Santa Monica, Culver City, and Alhambra, and the Community Services Department.
My name is Ryan Blatz. I'm recently elected to the Ojai City Council. I've been an Ojai resident for over 30 years, and I am an attorney in Ojai, and it's a pleasure to be here. And this is where the rubber meets the road on climate change. This is where we make a difference, so I'm really proud to be here.
My name is Linda Edmonds. I'm from Fillmore, newly elected city council member. Prior to this is my 3rd re-retirement. I was retired as a principal, retired as the head of Big Brothers Big Sisters and Boys and Girls Club, and retired as the CEO of One Step a la Vez. So now I'm available for this very important committee. So thank you. And I'd like to thank Mr. Villegas for his in-depth overview that he gave me prior, which helped me be prepared for this. So thank you.
Well, thanks to all three of you for putting your name in the hat and putting your name on the ballot. Appreciate it.
And welcome on behalf of the 5th District. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, we'll move on to our consent.
I'm going to real quickly just tell us one. There's the great story about Lyndon Johnson when they asked him as vice president for Kennedy, what did he think of Kennedy's cabinet? And he says, I don't like him. And they said, you're the vice president, why don't you like him? And he said, not a one of them had the courage to put their name on the ballot and run for even dog catcher. And the point was, it's a small fraternity of people that are willing to publicly be out there and go yes or no on me and take the chance of the no. So anyway, that's what I really meant to say by putting your name on the ballot. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is items 11 through 13. So a motion would be in order to approve the consent items.
Move to approve?
A motion and a second?
APCD staff usually sits on that side.
Well, the item I need to step out on is item 16. So we're,
It's on the regular agenda.
yeah, it's on the regular agenda. So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. And let's, you need a roll call vote on that one. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Board Member Bennett?
Yes.
Board Member Blatz?
Yes.
Board Member Edmonds?
Yes.
Board Member Huber?
Yes.
Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Excuse me. Board Member Rollins?
Yes.
Board Member Zaragoza?
Yes.
Board Member Long?
Yes.
Chair Pollock?
Yes. Okay, which brings us to our regular agenda, which starts with item number 14, which is to approve appointment of 2 Ventura County Air Pollution Control Board members to the APCD Standing Committee and approve appointment of 1 ACBB member as representative to the South Central Coast Basin Air Pollution Control Council.
Nominate some benefits.
We traditionally try to have it be 1 supervisor and 1 city member, so I'm willing to accept the nomination, and I'd like to nominate Ryan Blatz as a city representative, if that's right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to elect Supervisor Bennett and Board Member Ryan to the Standing Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Was it Rollins?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
Was it Rollins that you nominated?
No,
No,
Ryan Blatz.
Blatz.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Blatz.
Ryan Blatz.
Did he say Ryan?
Take me a minute to get used to the new names.
He said Ryan, that's all right. He didn't call
So
me
Supervisor Bennett and Board Member Blatz to the Standing Committee.
It's usually what's in the motion that counts, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Member Rollin looks younger than Member Blatz, and that's why he got confused, I'm sure.
I like that guy.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, congratulations. And Mike, are we going to have a standing committee meeting right after? Okay, no, not today. But we will have one in March?
To stay on schedule with the APCO recruitment, we may need to schedule a special meeting, but certainly we don't have the items for a meeting of the full board, and we can work something out just on the recruitment brochure.
Oh, okay. Just for the benefit of Mr. Blatz, we usually have a standing committee meeting right after our board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we also need to appoint one of our members to represent us at the South Central Coast Basin-wide Air Pollution Control Council, and that was traditionally Mike Morgan, who's no longer on our board.
Yes, real quick, just for some background, the South Central Coast Basin-wide Air Pollution Control Council is made up of 1 board member from Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. The meetings are led by the 3 air pollution control officers from those counties. If anybody is wanting to delve into air quality on a deeper level, you will get a much deeper look at the topics, and there'll be extensive discussion of current issues, legislation, et cetera. And I do the driving, so it's a pretty easy job, and I think you can learn a lot.
Mr. Villegas, when are the meetings?
The meetings are scheduled as needed. We generally have 3 to 4 during the year. We generally have aimed for a Wednesday, and basically the 3 board members decide that date, and we try to fit it in.
Is that during the day on Wednesday or the evening?
It's 10 a.m. at the Santa Barbara District. So, so we leave my office about 9, and we make it comfortably.
Okay. So is there anybody that would like that assignment? Okay.
I said I wouldn't mind it. I'd love to learn more. That's what I'm about. But if someone who's more experienced is interested in it, I certainly will.
I think it's a great opportunity to learn.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's great that you're.
Or you just don't want the job.
So I would nominate Lynn Edwards to
Second.
this committee.
I have a motion, a second, to nominate Ms. Edmonds to the position. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you for serving.
Okay, item 15 is approval of 2 grant funding requests totaling $158,529 for new air quality projects under the voluntary nitrogen oxide remediation measure funding program. Mr. Villegas.
Yes, Chair Pollack, members of the board, Mike Villegas, Air Pollution Control Officer, good afternoon. The purpose of the California Air Resources Board Voluntary Nitrogen Oxide Remediation Measure Program is to reduce the impact of potential NOx emission increases we saw through the use and implementation of CARB's low carbon fuel standard. The issue was that under this new greenhouse gas control measure, they encouraged the use of biodiesel. And in the early years, biodiesel use in pre-2010 diesel engines actually led to an increase in nitrogen oxide emissions. And as an ozone non-attainment area here in Ventura County, we're striving to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions because we're a ground level ozone non-attainment area, and we need to comply with both the state and federal ozone air quality standards. So CARB provided the district with $142,500 in implementation grant funding for this program to be directed at diesel engines. Staff used the CARB guidelines for this program to ensure that the proposed projects were eligible for funding. And as usual, we're proposing the most cost-effective projects. They would result in 2.4 tons per year of ozone precursors, mostly nitrogen oxides, 0.2 of a ton per year reduction in toxic diesel particulate, and 14 metric tons of greenhouse gases on a carbon dioxide equivalent basis. Staff is recommending that your board authorize $158,500 for these 2 projects. Total would be 3 new farm tractors. And we're providing almost $16,000 in our DMV $2 funds for incentive programs just to get this to work out evenly for the proposals. We'll be utilizing our existing Carl Moyer grant agreements, and we'll make sure that there is compliance with the provisions before we provide funding. Your approval would also authorize me to make a minor change to the grant agreement pending review by County Council. And to put things in perspective, I know you've heard today that we want more focus on alternative fuels, especially electric. And, you know, I hear it loud and clear. When I started hearing about climate change, we were talking about sea level rise in centimeters. Then we started talking about it in inches, and now the reports are talking about feet. So every year it seems that the data says we need to address this in a timely manner, and to let you know that we're working right now actually to, in response to changes to the Moyer program, to set aside a pot of money for electrification. We're working closely with Purport on electric yard tractors, potentially electrification of one of the cranes. We were also just last Friday out at Oxnard, Ocean View School District with a vendor showing the brand new electric school buses. And we're really pushing hard on this front. But one thing to keep in mind is when you look at diesel engines and we're ozone non-attainment, the maximum nitrogen oxide reduction per dollar spent is diesel engines, and we receive millions each year from the state earmarked for diesel engines. So that's why the funding's skewed that way, but the state realizes that in ozone non-attainment areas, San Joaquin, Southern California, you need the NOx. The other thing is diesel particulate accounts for 2/3 of all the toxic risk in ambient air. So when you clean up diesel engines, you're improving air quality on the smog, the ozone side, and you're improving public health for people that are near these engines with the particulate. And that's all I have on this item.
Great, thank you. So a motion would be in order for approval?
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
I do support the motion. The question I have in removing diesel emissions from trucks, is there still a good mitigation for putting like diesel traps on the trucks?
Yes, there are. And actually, the newer engines are what they call Tier 4, which is designed to be much lower on NOx, on particulate matter. They're also equipped, some of them are equipped with catalysts to further reduce the NOx, and then diesel particulate traps or diesel oxidation catalysts to further reduce the particulate emissions.
Do you mind going into the particulate traps a little bit more, just what we can do? There's a proposal that would add a couple thousand truck trips to a particular site, and I'm just thinking all that diesel emissions.
Yeah.
What kind of things could we do to mitigate those?
One of
we
the
had
things,
the ability.
Well, one of the things that our planning division staff review under the California Environmental Quality Act, EIRs for large projects such as this. One of our comments is try to, encourage the use or mandate the use of Tier 4, or basically we go by model year of the truck to get the cleanest engines and certainly to get more of those engines that are equipped with diesel particulate traps. Some of the issues you have, we've retrofitted a lot of school buses with diesel particulate traps, and they work quite well with the newer engines, and they do cause some issues with the older engines. So that's one of the reasons we're encouraging the more modern trucks for these large type of projects that are going to have substantial number of truck trips.
So the particulate traps work best in the newer models?
Yes.
And so if you already have a truck fleet and it's an emergency situation, they're going to be bringing these things in. If you were to
That could be very
require
challenging,
the
yes.
traps on them, it could damage the engines? Is that what happens?
It can potentially cause on older trucks a back pressure problem.
Back pressure
Yeah,
problems.
which basically causes an engine. It doesn't destroy the engine, but it will cause running problems, yes.
Is it something that maintenance could take care of?
They need to be periodically treated.
And then that
basically
might
heated
not
to a
occur?
high temperature to burn the particulate off the trap.
So you could, if you did special maintenance, you could avoid that back pressure
I'd have
problem?
to, work with my staff that's really familiar on diesel engines and kind of get numbers on, what's the fleet they're proposing, or, what's the year model range we're looking
Okay.
at, and what could be done.
Okay, you can look into that for us.
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
Absolutely.
I'll motion to approve.
A motion for approval, is there a second? That was by Supervisor Zaragoza. This requires 4 affirmative votes, so we'll do this with a roll call. Oh, you need 6? Requires, oh yeah, 4 requires 6 affirmative votes. That was confusing.
Board Member Bennett?
Yes.
Board Member Blatz?
Yes.
Board Member Edmonds?
Yes.
Board Member Huber?
Yes.
Board Member Parks? Yes. Board Member, Rollins?
Yes.
Board Member Zaragoza?
Yes.
Board Member Long?
Yes.
Chair Pollak?
Yes. So I think we have all the affirmative votes. As I mentioned before, item 16 is one that I need to excuse myself for because I'm on retainer with a company that may be doing business with the Ventura Unified School District. So I will turn it over to Supervisor Zaragoza.
Okay, well, thank you. This item is approval of a grant up to $20,000 to replace 5 compressed natural gas CNGs.
Good afternoon, Chair Zaragoza, members of the board. My name is Ali Ghassemi, and I'm a Planning and Rule Development Manager at Ventura County APCD. Today before you, I have a request for authorization to approve a grant agreement between Ventura County APCD and Ventura County Unified School District. The funding, this is for funding of, and this is a request for our APCO to sign this agreement and grant funding of up to $20,000 to replace 5 CNG tank gases on the school buses. And we also requesting that you authorize the auditor controller to to process our accounting transaction. To provide you with the background, the source of funding is the $2 DMV fees, and beginning January 1st of 2012, state law was changed to authorize the local district to use these additional $2 DMV fees for 3 types of projects to reducing emission from the school buses. And the type of projects that we are dealing with are CNG tank replacement, refueling, infrastructures, maintenance, and a school bus retrofit. To give you another point, the CNG, just replacement of one diesel-powered school bus with the CNG bus is going to reduce the NOx emissions by 5.4 tons and ROG emissions of 2.6 tons and 20% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. That's all I have, and I'm ready for any
Pretty
questions.
significant. Any questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
How often, what's the life expectancy of these? When's the last time these tanks had to be replaced?
10 years.
10 years, thank you.
Okay, any additional questions? That sounds like a pretty good bargain there for, to reduce a lot of emissions,
We believe so. But this emission reduction, I have to say that this is for the life of the project, which is assumed to be 10 years.
Great.
Move the recommended action.
Yeah.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's passed. Back to Mr. Pollock.
Motion approved. This is Mr. Pollock.
Okay, council member.
That was approved.
Okay, awesome. So we're on to item 17, which is approval and authorization for the APCO to execute a grant agreement up to $8,072 to fund 1 dual electric vehicle charging station at the Channel Islands Harbor.
Yes. This request that I have before you is for authorization to approve the grant agreement between Ventura County APCD and Channel Island Harbor. This request is authorizing our Ventura County APCD to sign the agreement and approve the grant funding up to $8,071.65 to install a dual EV charging station at the Channel Island Harbor landing parking lots. And this is a popular, actually, resident and visitors serving retail center at the harbor, Channel Island Harbor. And we also requesting the board to authorize the auditor controller to process the account transaction associated with this fund. This is as I said, this is the first charging station at harbor that is to be used by the public, and also the resource of this fund is coming from the Cleaner Fund, which has its own advisory committee, and it is available on first come, first serve. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, this is excellent. I went to a car show there at the harbor, and they had people coming from Santa Clarita, people coming from Bakersfield and so forth. And they says, where's a charging unit? There was no charging unit, so I think this is outstanding. That's what we needed there at the harbor. And
We believe so.
It's really great. So, no further questions?
Especially when it's a
Motion?
site of attraction, actually, for everyone to go.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Zaragoza, second by Supervisor Huber. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Which brings us to item 18, which is approval and authorization for the Air Pollution Control Officer to execute a grant agreement up to $12,877 to fund the installation of 1 dual electric vehicle charging station at Westview Village to be developed in the city of Ventura.
Yes. This request is again for authorization to approve grant agreement between Ventura County APCD and Housing Authority of the City of San Buenaventura. The request is to authorize the APCO to sign this agreement and approve the grant funding of $12,877 to install one dual EV charging station in the Westview Village, which is a multi-family residential housing space and for low-income community. Something about this project is we usually fund only the equipment cost coming from the cleaner fund, but for this project, because it's unique situation that it is for low-income communities, we are paying for the cost of installation and also the equipment. Another thing that I should mention, last Friday we were informed that they were underestimating their cost, so the cost could be more. So we may think that we have to come back to the board for additional fund approval.
Okay. A motion would be in order.
Could I just, that has been initial with a couple of projects I've heard of. So we can make sure that that keeps abreast from the city of Oxnard of projects. So if we could just make sure you're on it. Thank you. I just hate for it to double or we don't have the funds, you know.
No. Staff is, the intention of staff is to work out the funds, even if it is not available through cleaner funds. We may go to other funds to see the availability of other funds.
Okay, so this is paid for only with fund money and not general line item. I hate to go into a project not knowing the total cost and only approve half of the cost or majority. I don't know, so I just want more information.
We wanted to see this project move forward. We thought about pulling the item, but we realized we had this amount from the Clean Air Fund. And if it's, you know, in the neighborhood of $5,000-7,000, we may be able to handle that separately and just come back. Instead of pulling the Clean Air Fund Advisory Committee back together, we may be able to get this to move along with just coming back to your board with just ours. Because we do have money set aside for EV infrastructure in our budget.
Okay, I was just going to say, can they get this money this year and then apply for next year?
Actually, they may be able to get it all this year if we come back to your board. And the other thing is, you know, recently I'm starting to hear at the state level is a lot of emphasis to try to get some of this electric vehicle infrastructure into disadvantaged communities, low-income neighborhoods. So this is consistent with that effort.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Zaragoza. I have a motion by Mr. Zaragoza. Second by Mr. Huber. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the item is approved unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Item 19 now, approval of an authorization for the Ventura County Air Pollution Control District to participate in the Cycle California Coast project, and authorization for the same to provide a one-time grant of $2,500 to the Santa Barbara Bike Coalition for the CCC project. Funding is part of our public outreach campaign.
Yes, the goal of Cycle California Coast is to promote both Ventura and Santa Barbara counties as premier bicycling tourism destinations. This group is in the process of developing a 3-year strategic plan. And this coalition has broad participation from the local tourism promotion entities, chambers of commerce, local government, such as cities and the county, elected officials, and other agencies such as the Ventura County Transportation Commission and the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District. Historically, our district has always strived to improve quality while minimizing the socioeconomic impacts of our programs on the community. Sometimes when I read the forecasts for Ventura County on the economic front, this really drives home the importance of our efforts to minimize economic impacts, because some of these forecasts say that Ventura County is not improving as fast as other regions of California. I believe this effort has the opportunity to boost tourism in both counties, and that would lead to an increase in jobs in the tourism industry, but also an increase in jobs in some trades such as building maintenance and constructions. Further, the project would encourage investment in real estate for these types of operations, and that could increase local tax revenues. I see this as a win-win approach, promoting economic growth in our county while promoting zero-emission activities with no emissions of criteria or greenhouse gases. Therefore, I'm proposing that your board authorize our district to participate along with the Santa Barbara County District in this effort, and then to approve an initial funding allotment to help things get rolling of $2,500 from our public outreach budget, which is well under budget this year. And just so you know that the Santa Barbara Bike Coalition is acting as the fiscal agent for this coalition at this time. That's all I have. I'll be happy to take questions.
Okay, any questions or comments?
I know that I got a comment, I don't know if the rest of the board did, regarding how we spend funds, and when it got down to bicyclists, it was about $2,000 a year compared to all the other work that we do to try to reduce emissions from mobile vehicles. So certainly support this and would look at what other ways we may be able to leverage those funds to encourage bicycling.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, motion would be in order.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Parks, second by? Okay, second by Mr. Zaragoza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's approved unanimously. Item 20 is a presentation of a service award to Mr. Villegas for 30 years of service at the Pollution Control District. And let me step down to the dais.
30 years. Wow. 4 years? Okay. All right. Didn't know that. Good call. Didn't know that.
So, Mike, I've been on the board here, I think, for 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I forget how many it's been, but you certainly you have been one of the most outstanding chief executives I've had the honor to work with in all the various government nonprofit organizations that I work for. You have a unique ability to explain complex issues in terms that everyone can understand, and that's rare. And I know that you've also been a great voice in the entire state, serving as part of the State Air Pollution Control Officers Association, and you will leave a great legacy and a big pair of shoes to fill. So thank you so much for your service. I'll sign this.
I just want you to know that that was a fast 30 years. You know, I remember I had this little cubicle in this building when I started, and it's been quite a ride, and I really want to thank your board. There were some tough development hearings in here where I can remember a Unocal representative holding up a lighter saying, this is 10,000 parts per million with this little butane lighter, and that's what the district is calling a leak. And your board supported us. They supported us on putting catalysts on the power plants, and it's been remarkable. And, you know, we've gone from hundreds of days over the standard down to less than 10. And I have some really good news for new board member Blatz and Supervisor Bennett. We just ran the unofficial design value numbers for our monitoring sites, and for Ojai, we came in at 70 parts per billion. For ozone, I need to call Russ Baggerly, because that is the standard. Not the one we're aiming for in 2021, but the one we're going to probably have to reach by 2026. So now it's down to our monitoring site in Simi Valley, and I told Supervisor Huber, my mission, I always tell staff, is we're going to take care of the cross-country team out at Simi High, because that's really, some of their runners are just phenomenal. And Sarah Baxter, I always tell my staff, we got to take care of Sarah Baxter. She was a phenom. She owns every state and county record now at the University of Oregon, and that was our mission, is to make sure that when she's doing her 7-8 miles a day, she's got good quality air. And I want to thank you so much for the support. And you know, I do realize the challenge you do when you put your name in a ballot, and I see the trials and tribulations with elected officials, and I always strive to bring you a rule that at least the environmentalists aren't throwing rocks at, and that industry can live with, to make your hearing smoother. So thank you so much.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to thank Mike. You know, I had the privilege of being the chair of the board for APCD when we went to Washington DC to receive that award from
US EPA, yes.
and that was really great. And also the knowledge that Ms. Villegas has is just outstanding. And you voted for me when you lived in the 5th District, right? In fact, he would have been in your district now.
That's right. No, I never did. You're right. I was always in, because I have that, you have that little portion of North Oxnard. I was right in.
Now you live in Bennett's district.
Still.
But I just want to thank you again, for working not only for Ventura County, but working also with Santa Barbara, and I know we had a lot of issues with the ships going out out there here in our channel, and working with the NRG and working with the city of Oxnard and with the pollution and control and so forth. But you've done an excellent job for us, and I want to commend you and congratulate you and have a good retirement.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be, I'm going to probably be working in some facet of the air, probably teaching, but, with what I told you about greenhouse gases, I'm a surfer, and I know that, Outside Magazine ranked Ventura Point as one of the top 10 places in the world. Yeah. Surfer Magazine says Oxnard's the 8th best city to live in the world. Mm-hmm. And about a positive 3.5-foot tide, the point doesn't work anymore. The waves just run into the rocks. And if people start talking about an Arctic shelf melting and raising the feet by, the level of the ocean by 3 feet, that pretty much shuts down my recreation. So I'm motivated. And I definitely hear that, we do need to provide a push for some of these new electric projects when you're looking at cranes, locomotives, school buses, and get some of these projects to commercialization, because we've seen it work with Tesla. They're there now.
And Michael, you're leaving a good staff behind too.
Yeah. Some excellent staff. Mm-hmm. And my newest hire from the 25 years with South Coast, that was very fortunate for our agency.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? And our last item is approval to cancel the March 12th meeting, but it sounds like you want to cancel that and perhaps schedule.
We may need a special something that works, because I know it's tough for the supervisors to be taking a break, and we'd only need a very short standing committee meeting. So we'll work with the 4 standing committee members. And one thing I want you to, Chair and the Vice Chair, to be aware of, we've just received confirmation that on March 6th, the Vessel Speed Reduction Award ceremony will be down at the Port of San Pedro. So if the Chair or the Vice Chair could attend, that would be.
What's the name of the legislator that from?
Congressman Lowenthal from Long Beach.
He's really a big supporter. Yeah. Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Thank you.
Please let us know.
Okay, so
I'll second.
we have a motion, a second, to cancel the March 12th meeting of this board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned until April.
I like this meeting.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Congratulations.